What is going on, guys? Horizon here, and today I am bringing you another RLCS replay analysis. Today we're going to be taking a look at the final game played between G2 Esports and Spacestation Gaming in the grand final of the first North American regional of the spring split. Now, typically when I do these videos, I follow one player throughout the entire game. Today, however, we are going to be taking a look at all three of the Spacestation Gaming players, as we see just what went wrong in every goal that they gave up in this final game. Before we do hop into this though, as always, if you guys are enjoying the content and you feel like making somebody's day today, please consider clicking that bright red subscribe button right down underneath this video. It really does help me out a lot more than you guys realize, and I really do appreciate it. With that all said, let's hop right on in. We're gonna kick things off here with Spacestation leading 1-0 with 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. We're gonna kick things off with looking through the eyes of Daniel here so we can see just what he sees when Spacestation concedes his first goal. So we start in Spacestation's corner, and you'll notice that Daniel does not have a whole lot of boost. So what's gonna happen here is a very nice call off from Arsenal as he comes through and manages to get the clear out. Daniel's gonna go over and realize that he has some time to go get this full boost. Now what's about to happen here is what's gonna kind of springboard this whole offensive attack from G2. Because currently, Atomic has an absolutely free ball in the corner because none of Spacestation's players are around. So now, JNAPS has pretty much free reign to rush downfield and start trying to clear a path for G2 to score this ball. So in hindsight, if instead of coming all the way over here, Daniel had stayed relatively neutral in the middle of the field, maybe just picked up some pads, he would have been maybe in a position to attack this ball in the corner, rather than just allowing G2 to have this free clear. But because we find ourselves in this situation, now it is Daniel's responsibility to make sure he absolutely does not get demoed here. If he doesn't get demoed here, he still stands a chance of being able to challenge Atomic to prevent a super easy clear coming out from G2. So his number one priority here is to be aware that JNAPS is coming for him and to avoid it. Unfortunately, he doesn't do that. So Atomic does get the free clear. And now Daniel does a great job here of immediately recognizing where he spawns and immediately making this turn back to net, because he knows this shot's going to be coming. So he does a really nice job of preparing himself for the shot as fast as possible, and then getting this clear out to the side. Would have loved to see him avoid getting demoed and be able to challenge G2's attempted clear, but he does get back and makes a save, so no harm, no foul there. Now we're going to run into a bit of a problem with Arsenal's respawn, because in the time that Daniel was demoed and respawning and making that save, Arsenal was also demoed. So if we look at the situation we're in right now, Daniel's in front of net with 14 boost, Arsenal's in the left corner with 25 boost, and Retals is on the left corner wall with 16 boost. So currently, from Spacestation's perspective, what absolutely needs to happen is Retals needs to buy as much time as possible for Daniel and Arsenal to get set into a good defensive position with enough boost to defend any attack that G2 might bring at them. The problem is that there's not clear enough communication between Arsenal and Daniel in this situation, as neither of them make any attempt to defend the net. So it seems like they're trusting Retals to buy them time, because neither of them defend the net. You see Daniel's rotating out to get some small pads, Arsenal's chilling on the back wall, but then this massive challenge comes through from JNAPS, and it's right on target. And neither Daniel or Arsenal is in a position to get the save, so it goes right on into the net. So whatever the communication is here between Arsenal and Daniel, one of them has to be able to defend the net at all times in this situation, because you never know just what kind of challenge Retals is going to get. Now let's move on and take a look at the same play here from Arsenal's perspective, and we're going to pick this up right around the time that Daniel gets demoed. So you can see that JNAPS is in the process, takes Daniel off the field. So at this point, as Arsenal, you need to realize, Retals way out of the play. Daniel's gone, I'm now last back, need to make sure that I can clean up any pressure that G2 might bring on in the immediate future, until Daniel can respawn and get reset. You just saw JNAPS demo Daniel, so you know you should be very well aware that he may just keep making a beeline for you. But the same situation as Daniel, for some reason Arsenal just does not see it, and does not avoid it and gets demoed as well. Now, right before he gets demoed, it's really important to see what he does, because he takes this corner boost, and that's going to be very important for what's about to happen. So he takes the corner boost, and then gets demoed by JNAPS. Daniel spawned right side, Arsenal spawns on the left. Now, Daniel, when he respawned, made the really good choice to immediately turn back to net and be prepared to defend the shot. Arsenal, when he respawns, instead of turning back to net to be in a good defensive position, turns left. Now this is where there might be another communication breakdown, as it seems that he was not prepared for Retals to continue to come across. Maybe he thought Retals was going to go and cover the net while Arsenal took over control of this ball since it was coming right to him. But Retals doesn't slow down, so Arsenal's going to let Retals take this. But the problem that happens is Arsenal just kind of hovers right around this corner boost, and he does the old like wiggle over the top of it. But the problem is that he just took that, not even 5 seconds ago. So he knows that that boost isn't going to be there and won't be spawning for another couple of seconds. So him just hanging around here, doing the little wiggle over the boost pad, is not really serving any purpose. So now he finally does make the turn back to the wall, and again this is the exact same situation. Seems like they were really relying on Retals to get a good challenge, and it just didn't come through. But if Arsenal doesn't chill on that corner boost pad as long, and turns back to net a little bit sooner, he might be a little bit closer to the near post at this point, so he might be able to spring across and get this save, even without any momentum. The problem is that since he's so far away, he doesn't have the momentum to actually get far enough into the net in time to make contact with this ball. And then once more, we're going to take a look at this play one more time from the perspective of Retals. So he has just gone up for a challenge, and he is now going to be focused on rotating back. So I think his rotation here is actually really clean. He sees both his teammates get demoed, and there's not a whole lot he's going to be able to do in this situation because he's kind of stuck in no man's land. So he is relying on one of his respawning teammates to make this initial save, which Daniel does. Now, at this moment, Arsenal has already respawned, so we kind of talked about this a bit when we were looking at Arsenal, but Retals and Arsenal need to quickly understand whose ball this is going to be. Ideally, since Arsenal's already over there, it makes a lot more sense for Retals to honestly just stick around this front post, maybe dip into net, just stay relevant in a defensive position, and let Arsenal take over this ball. Because realistically, both Retals and Arsenal are going to be on very similar boost totals, and Arsenal's already over there. So instead of crowding two players into the same corner, it's best to keep yourself spread out and just let the player who the ball is going to just take this over. However, it might not have been time to communicate that, so I'm not exactly mad about him taking over control of this ball, because he can also get to it a bit faster. So he goes in and follows this around. The problem is the challenge angle he takes. Because if he's going to take this ball, he needs to quickly recognize a couple of things. As soon as both of his teammates are demoed, you've seen Daniel just make a save. Daniel's just respawned, Arsenal's just respawned. You know they're both going to be low on boost. You are also low on boost. In this situation, it is very unlikely that you're going to get a solid outplay that puts your team in a favorable position. From this spot, you know you have a challenge coming with JNAPS. It is infinitely more beneficial to make sure you get goal side of this ball and not allow any weird challenge to go directly into the net, because your job currently is to buy time. So Retals, instead of going up the wall like this, I think it makes more sense if he goes goal side of this ball over here and then challenges it from this way. Because if he challenges from this side, the worst thing that happens is it pinches up and around that way. And while that's still dangerous, it is significantly better challenging from here than challenging from here and essentially becoming a launch pad for JNAPS to power this ball right into the net. Because currently Daniel and Arsenal are relying on you getting a solid challenge here to keep this ball safe for them to gather boost in time. And if you challenged here, this would be a fine challenge. No horrible thing would happen. Still wouldn't be super safe, but it would be a lot safer than this. Now we are going to move into 240 in overtime, where we are about to see SSG concede their second goal. Again, we're going to kick this off through the eyes of Daniel, and let's just see what he gets up to here. Landing calmly, just going to pick up some pads. No issues so far, things are looking pretty good. making sure covering clear angles from G2. Very nice. And here's where we're going to see our first problem. Because you'll notice, both Arsenal and Retals are in front of Daniel. Because of how lightly Atomic hits this ball, both Atomic and JNaps are right next to this thing. So there is absolutely 0 points in Daniel rushing in for this. Because there's absolutely no way he's going to beat them in this. The only thing he is doing is putting himself in a really rough situation. In addition, Retals has also just got bumped, so his recovery is going to be even slower. So Daniel's really got to play a lot safer here, and I feel like pushing up this far is really, really risky. And now he's got to try to play retreating defense instead of being able to stay in front of the ball and facing it. He's now got to turn tail and put his back to the ball while trying to also make a play defensively. Atomic gets this clear out. Now I will say that Daniel has a couple of options here, because he could do this where he tries to get a tip around Atomic. The problem with this is he's only stalling this out, and he's not really putting the ball into a favorable position, because all he's doing is allowing another player who's coming in with a full head of steam in JNaps to slam this ball as hard as he possibly can, while your entire team's still getting back. So the other option Daniel might have had here is, instead of backflipping this ball, he could have just watched where Atomic was planning on hitting this, and as Atomic went to hit it, he could challenge with a backflip on Atomic's touch. This would then make it a lot less predictable to where the ball is going, and would probably buy a little bit more time for Daniel's teammates to get back. However, as it stands now, this backflip just puts the ball right into the path of JNaps, and JNaps is happy to oblige, powering the ball off the backboard. And that's how the goal is going to go in, because Retals has a little bit of a whiff on the backboard. This touch gives the ball away to JNaps. But now I will say that I think both Arsenal and Daniel are trusting that this situation is going to go perfectly fine without any thought of it going wrong. Because if we look at this situation right now, Atomic is beelining for Retals. So from Daniel's perspective, his thought should be, oh shoot, I should get back as fast as possible, in the off chance that Atomic demos Retals. If there's no pressure on Retals, I can even understand a lot more, just thinking, yeah, Retals is obviously going to make this touch, no worries, just let him do his thing. But because there's that pressure on him, and we can see that, we might want to play a little safer in the fact that a lot can go wrong with the pressure that's being applied to Retals. You can kind of see he kind of starts to take a leisurely drive back to net, and then as soon as Retals misses, Daniel's like, oh crap, I gotta go. And by that point, it's too late, as JNaps is going to get the slot. So a little more urgency in moving back to net when you see your teammate under pressure like this is probably required. No guarantee that's going to work out, but also in this situation, it might not be the worst thing to just beeline it for JNaps. If Retals misses, JNaps is the only threat, because the third G2 player is nowhere to be seen. So if we get rid of JNaps, the threat is kind of neutralized whether or not Retals gets beat or not. So going for JNaps here would actually probably be a really smart play, just to remove as much of the threat as possible. So now we're going to take a look at the same play from our boy Arsenal's perspective. This is again another really good play from him in taking the ball away from Daniel when Daniel has low boost, allowing SSG to get a much more powerful clear, which he does a very nice job of. And then boosting over to land on the 100 boost is also very smart as well, making sure we're cutting off clears from G2. Lovely offensive pressure applied so far by a Spacestation. Again, this is where we again see just how risky this push-up from Daniel was, because all three Spacestation players are now in G2's final third, and G2 are all raring up for a counterattack. So Arsenal's going to flip back as fast as possible, and he's going to do a decent job. But again, we're going to see this exact same trust coming through from Arsenal. And now I think, if Arsenal commits to go back to net, whatever touch Retals gets, Daniel would be able to follow this up. So I think if you're looking at Daniel or Arsenal, which player should commit back to net, it should be Arsenal, because he's closer and he will be able to cover anything that could go wrong from this Retals touch. Daniel, on the other hand, can turn upfield and be ready for whatever pass Retals gets, should he get a pass. There's no reason that both Daniel and Arsenal need to commit over to thinking that Retals is going to get a perfect touch. Especially after 3 minutes of overtime, once fatigue starts to get set in a bracket reset, it makes a lot more sense to play safer and commit more towards the safe option, which in this case for Arsenal would be committing into net. Once more now, from Retals' perspective, we see this clear coming through. Does a lovely job of chasing this ball down. And now this is an unfortunate, really weak touch. Because this touch isn't really going to do anything to help Spacestation maintain pressure. It's pretty much just giving control of the ball back up to G2. Because this touch has almost no power behind it, and it's not put in any kind of threatening spot. And it just pretty much takes Retals completely out of the play. Now he's rotating around. Now this is all fine, and I would like to see him move out and go into more of a full man rotation and let Daniel move in to take his place. But instead he makes this turn. And this is where we run into the problem of all of Spacestation getting pushed too far up in this play. Because this turn puts him in a really aggressive position where there's two defenders that are going to block anything coming across from Arsenal here is really risky. Because, like, look, there's two people sitting right there. There is zero chance this ball gets over to you. But positioning here is going to do absolutely nothing because you're not going to be able to make a play on this ball anyway. And the clear comes out. Now, he does rush back about as fast as possible. You will notice he drops his supersonic speed here a little bit. He does slow down, waiting to see what kind of touch Daniel gets, which does slow down his approach to this ball on the backboard. He does try to get him to as fast as possible, and just doesn't read it. He jumps a little too far out instead of up. I think he thought maybe it was going to hit the ceiling, but he just didn't quite get the right trajectory when he jumped. Leveled himself out a little too much early on and wasn't able to get the height that he needed. Could have also been that he just got spooked by Athena coming charging at him, trying to avoid it. So he jumps earlier than he might have wanted to, and unfortunately can't get the read. I think this entire play is stopped, though, if SSG is not this far pushed up. As soon as all three of them push up that far, they are in real trouble, because Daniel is put in this awkward situation where he has to make this awkward touch. And whatever touch he makes, G2 is still going to have pressure here. Like, there's no way that Spacestation get out of this without experiencing some G2 pressure, just because of how all 6 players are moving down the field in the same direction. And that is a major advantage for the offensive team, because all of the defenders' backs are to the play. That will wrap it up for what went wrong here for Spacestation in the final moments of the grand final here against G2. Pretty easy things to clean up, in all honesty. Both goals that G2 scored were not really earned. They were more handed away by Spacestation off of really easy to fix mistakes. I am sure that we will see Spacestation clean these things up and bounce back in Regional number 2. So thank you everybody so much for watching, as I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications. If you guys have any video ideas, suggestions, anything like that, go ahead and throw those down in the comments below. As always, I look forward to checking those out. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.